So I started my career 2 decades back in building digital experiences, and at that point, there really wasn't much focus in applying usability or user experience to building softwares, largely because at that point, it was all about being able to provide the actual service to customers and less about how the experience would be. And just the technical ability of being able to construct softwares itself was value, and customers would come and use it. The first company that I worked with was in Japan, and in 2003 went there without realizing that first I'll be working on softwares, and second, that actually it was user experience work. Slowly, companies realized that making software usable was important because it led to optimizations, it led to better performance for the companies to generate better business outcomes. So they started investing in the field of human-computer interaction, in the field of being able to involve behavioral science, ergonomics as part of being able to do that work. This phase also changed. There was a big shift. The iPhone came out, and because the iOS was a platform which allowed for mass distribution of digital services across the world, and companies and developers could create these packets of applications and distribute them to such a large scale. This was unprecedented. Companies saw tremendous ROI, which changed the entire game, and everybody in the world now wanted to be able to incorporate something called design thinking, incorporate something called service design thinking as part of being able to build the products that they were doing. And this is where the field of user experience became front and center, that it was not just enough to be able to make something which is usable. You had to be able to make it engaging. You have to make it something that converts users. I went through that entire phase of change of this field. And not only did I deliver work for hundreds of clients across the world at that point of time, but I also was teaching and personally delivered 250 plus programs as corporate programs and public programs across North America, around South Africa, across Middle East, Southeast Asia. The gospel around user experience spread wide for quite a few years. Then the phase changed, because even at this point of time, the primary focus was about optimization. The world changed very fast. And why it changed fast is because with the ease of being able to create businesses, you could get a business and be able to distribute that entire business across the world as well. The incumbents were getting disrupted by startups really fast, because startups could come up with agile thinking, to come up with innovation much faster, and they could make a case in the market and win. This entire phase of the economy was called the disruption economy. And the disruption economy is where, if you're just doing optimization as part of your product, if you're just making incremental changes and adding small features, etc., and increasing the menu for the users, it's very hard to remain competitive, which is where innovation became very important. It was very important that if you're transforming your digital product, or if you're transforming your service experience, then you have to do it from perspective of innovation to remain competitive, and you cannot just do optimizations in that context. So everything has to be innovation, otherwise why do it? Which is why a lot of methodology that needs to be applied is being able to build products need to be from an innovation focus and less about just optimization. And the point of being competitive is not to be faster. Point of being competitive is how to be able to leap to a point in the future such that the competition can't beat you. That is where most organizations are coming to me to take help from. And of course, both my consulting experience of being able to help companies across the world and my product experience of building products from starting till the end and delivering business outcomes, both of that comes into play in being able to provide value here. This context is changing very fast. The reason for that is because there's an evolution of technology. With the evolution of technology, there was a point of time where the delivery of services by digital products, the service experience was very manual, which means if you had to go and pay your bills, or you had to collect something, you have to go to a center and you have to stand in line and do it. But that changed to an automation era where IVRs were there, or large call centers were there. From there to a DIY era where people are given mobile apps and you're given web apps and asked to do things yourself, such that the cost is reduced and also scale is possible in that. With the advent of agentic AI, with the advent of omnicommerce, with the advent of convergence of touch points of various brands, it's become even more competitive. At the same time, there's a lot of focus on mass scale hyper-personalization, which means how do you actually understand data, and then you're able to render that data in through AI, and then be able to surface recommendations or experiences which are far more contextualized as well. The behavior of the actual users has changed significantly as well. What that means is the users have very less patience or very less mind share to give to brands. So in that context, very thin sliver of a context, how do you engage and convert customers has become a challenge, which means the approach to actually building digital products or services has to be different. You cannot have fat interactions with users anymore. But by fat interactions, I mean, initially the softwares were a collection of features which were clubbed into a menu, right? And the larger the menu becomes, the better it was considered for the customer's point of view, also from an SEO point of view. That's no longer true, because fat interactions is something that users actually don't engage with brands. They come and interact with one single touch point, and in a very small context of an interaction, they leave. I call this thin interactions. So in the thin interaction and in that particular context, how do you intelligently deliver your service and convert customers is what will become the differentiator for the next few years as the technology changes are accelerating. A lot of focus needs to be towards these thin in context intelligent experiences, how those can be built. With my decades of experience of having built products across different phases of how this entire field has evolved itself as well, and having held roles across multiple organizations and different perspectives, and having built teams and having done sales, having built an entire company which delivers digital innovation work, bring all of this understanding and experience into a culmination of a series of videos where I will try and answer some of the typical questions that I get. I will also try and share perspectives beyond that to give an approach towards how do you build these kind of experiences, how do you remain competitive. So stay tuned for this because there are many more videos which will come up, which will talk about topics ranging from AI to value proposition modeling to actually how do you build products to the fidelity to remain competitive in the market as well. I hope you enjoy this.